Hello and welcome to the CompTIA Cybersecurity Analyst CySA Plus Certification Study Guide. In this video, we will discuss Chapter 11.3 Post-Incident Activities. Once the impacted system has been restored, the final phase is to perform various tasks, known as post-incident activities. These are designed to lessen the chance of a reoccurrence by taking corrective actions and to document the event. These include forensic analysis, generating indicators of compromise, updating the incident response plan, assessing the cyber incident, and producing incident response reports. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Digital forensic analysis and what is digital forensics? Digital forensics is an important element in incident investigation. In fact, many users equate incident investigation with digital forensics, although they are not exactly the same. Forensics is one important part of incident investigation. Understanding digital forensics involves knowing the procedures for conducting an analysis and applying specialized forensics. In a general sense, forensics is the application of science to questions that are of interest to the legal profession. One example of forensics, and which most users associate with forensics, is analyzing evidence from a murder scene. A subset of forensics is digital forensic analysis. Digital forensic analysis involves the retrieval of difficult-to-obtain data, which may be hidden, altered, or even deleted by the threat actor. A digital forensics specialist searches for evidence pertaining to the incident or to damage that occurred during a cyber incident. In short, it is using technology to hunt for technology-based evidence. This is particularly the case when evidence is collected that may be used in the prosecution of the threat actor through the legal system. Digital forensics is often confused with e-discovery, although they are not the same. When preparing for trial, both the prosecution and the defense engage in what is called discovery. This is the formal process of exchanging information between the two parties about witnesses and evidence that will be presented at a trial. Discovery, since its inception in 1938, enables the parties to know before the trial begins what evidence may be presented. E-discovery is the electronic counterpart of manually sifting through documents in discovery. Despite what is commonly seen in movies when a last-minute witness suddenly appears, discovery is designed to prevent this trial by ambush, where one side does not learn of the other side's evidence until after trial begins and there is no time to obtain counter-evidence. Forensics procedures and secure the scene. When responding to an incident that requires an examination of a local endpoint or a network appliance in a data center using digital forensics, 5 basic steps are followed, which are similar to those of standard forensics. The steps are to secure the crime scene, preserve the evidence, document the chain of custody, examine the evidence, and create a report. When an incident occurs that involves technology, action must be taken immediately. A delay of even a few minutes can allow digital evidence to be overwritten in the normal function of the device, become contaminated by other users, or give the perpetrator time to destroy the evidence. A digital forensics incident response team is contacted and, upon arrival, their first job is to secure the scene. This involves documenting the physical surroundings, identifying and tagging all cables connected to the device, and taking custody of the device along with any peripherals. Preserve the evidence. The next task is the preservation of evidence, or ensuring that important proof is not corrupted or even destroyed. Preserving evidence can also help mitigate non-repudiation or denial by the perpetrator that they were involved or did anything wrong. Evidence from a suspected device should be placed in bags that have tags or identifying labels that have a description of the item, a numeric identifier, the date, the collection location, and other relevant information. These bags are then sealed to serve as protection against evidence being altered. One type of seal that is commonly used is a tamper-evident seal that cannot be removed and reapplied without leaving obvious visual evidence. If the seal or tape is lifted or removed, a clearly visible opened message appears on the packaging. For additional traceability and security, the tape is often labeled with a unique sequential number every 9 inches, 22 centimeters. Tamper-evident tape is shown in Figure 11. 4. Depending on the type and severity of the incident, it may be necessary to immediately involve the judicial system to help collect and preserve the digital evidence. This ensures that the integrity of the evidence is maintained and can be held up in a court of law. Admissibility. Once data has been identified, it can be placed under a legal hold, meaning that it cannot be modified, deleted, erased, or otherwise destroyed. There is a tendency to issue legal holds that are too broad in scope. For example, placing a legal hold on all email correspondence may result in retaining thousands or millions of unneeded messages and associated attachments, while placing a legal hold on all portable devices requiring them to be locked away makes them useless to the organization. Instead, appropriate filters should be used to capture only data that is relevant. Document chain of custody. As soon as the team begins its work, it must start and maintain a strict chain of custody. Documenting the evidence from the very beginning is called provenance. The chain of custody documents that the evidence was always under strict control and no unauthorized person was given the opportunity to corrupt the evidence. A chain of custody includes documenting all the serial numbers of the systems involved, who handled and had custody of the systems and for what length of time, how the device was transported, and any other steps in the process. In short, a chain of custody is a detailed document describing where the evidence was at all times from the beginning of the investigation. Gaps in a chain of custody can result in severe legal consequences. Courts have dismissed cases involving computer forensics because a secure chain of custody could not be verified. A chain of custody form helps to document that evidence was under strict control at all times and no unauthorized person was given the opportunity to corrupt it, as shown in Figure 11. 5. When examining a device for evidence, there are specialized tools that should be used to gather evidence. The proper use of these tools can help confirm that the data has not been tampered with, validate data integrity. However, it is essential that these tools be used properly. There are different software digital forensics tools available for analysis. These tools are specialized for digital forensics to capture the system image or a snapshot of the current state of these elements that contains all current settings and data. One common software tool is a mirror image backup, also called a bitstream backup. This is an evidence-grade backup because its accuracy meets evidence standards. A mirror image backup is not the same as a normal copy of the data. Standard file copies or backups include only files. Mirror image backups replicate all sectors of a computer hard drive, including all files and any hidden data storage areas. A mirror image backup will also capture the swap file or page file that contains data that has been moved from random access memory, RAM, to the drive due to a lack of RAM space, and this should be examined for evidence. Using a standard copy procedure can miss significant data and can taint the evidence. For example, copying a file may change file date information on the source drive, which is information that is often critical in a computer forensic investigation. Products are available that package multiple digital forensics tools into a single suite that has a common user interface and can more easily exchange information among the different tools. Two of the most common forensic suites are EnCase, shown in Figure 11.6, and FTK Imager. Other popular forensic software tools are memdump, a Linux utility that dumps system memory, WinHex, a hexadecimal editor that can be used for forensics, and Autopsy, a digital forensics platform. Instead of gathering different forensic software tools, a digital forensic workstation, which is a computer that is specially configured to perform forensics activities, can be used instead. Digital forensic workstations are typically configured with the latest computer hardware, such as multiple gigabit network ports and universal serial bus (USB) ports, along with hot swap bays to hold as multiple drives for examination. Digital forensic workstations are expensive, depending on the options installed, such a workstation might cost over $20,000. When examining technology devices that may contain evidence acquisition, it is critical to follow a specific order. This is because different data sources have different degrees of preservation. An order of volatility must be followed to preserve the most fragile data first. Order of volatility: 1 registers and CPU cache registers, and the CPU cache are extremely volatile and change constantly. 2 routing tables: ARP cache, process table, kernel statistics, RAM. The network routing and process tables have data located on network devices that can change quickly while the system is in operation, and kernel statistics are moving between cache and main memory, which make them highly volatile. RAM information can be lost if power is lost. 3 temporary file systems. Temporary file systems are not subject to the degree of rapid changes as the prior elements. 4. Hard drive data is relatively stable. 5. Remote logging and monitoring data. Although remote logging and monitoring data is more volatile than drive data, the data on a drive is considered more valuable and should be preserved first. 6. Physical configuration and network topology. These items are not considered volatile and do not have a significant impact on an investigation. 7. Archival media data that has been preserved in archival form is not volatile. The first 2 levels are considered the most volatile because they can change very quickly. A cache is a type of high-speed memory that stores recently used information so that it can be quickly accessed again at a later time. After retrieving this volatile data, the next focus is on the drive. An additional source of hidden clues can be gleaned from metadata. Some electronic files may contain hundreds of pieces of such information. Examples of metadata include the file type, authorship, and edit history. Another example of metadata is the date and time that a file was created or accessed. Upon completion of the examination, a detailed written description of the acquisition and analysis of the evidence is required. It lists the steps that were taken and any evidence that was uncovered in the forensic investigation. When using products that package multiple digital forensics tools into a single suite, a report can be automatically generated. There are also specialized forensics for platforms other than standard computers. These include mobile devices, virtualized images, and cloud resources. Mobile device. Due to their very nature, mobile device forensics is different from performing forensics on an endpoint computer. Although mobile devices are sometimes characterized merely as portable computers, they actually contain a broader wealth of information than a desktop or laptop computer. Mobile devices are almost continually in a user's possession, unlike a standard computer, and thus can more accurately reveal the user's actions. Forensic information that can be uniquely extracted from a mobile device includes the following. Call detail records. This information can reveal the date and time a telephone call was started and ended, the terminating and originating cell phone towers that were used, whether the call was outgoing or incoming, the call's duration, who was called, and who made the call. Global Positioning System, GPS data. GPS data can accurately pinpoint the location of a user and what activities they were performing in a specific location. App data. Many apps store and access data such as media files, contact lists, and a gallery of all the photos on the device. Text messages. Text messaging is a popular means of communication. It leaves electronic records of dialogue that can be used as evidence. Photos and videos. Media recorded as photos and videos on a mobile device can often contain incriminating evidence. Performing a forensics investigation on a standard endpoint computer can be a delicate operation. Preserving elements in volatile memory before they change or disappear is especially important. However, what if the entire device has been virtualized and resides only in memory? This is the challenge when performing forensics in a virtualized environment. Virtualization forensics. Analyzing a virtual device is different from investigating an endpoint computer. For example, after capturing the contents of registers, the CPU and ARP cache, process table, kernel statistics, RAM, and temporary file systems on a standard computer, it can then be powered down in order to transport it to another location for more in-depth analysis. However, powering down a virtual machine, VM, which is a simulated software-based emulation of a computer, and then resuming it later will change the volatile evidence. and attempting to perform a live analysis on a running VM may change information that resides in memory or cause open network connections to be terminated. Research has shown that how a VM is powered down can impact the amount of data available for analysis. When performing virtualization forensics, there are two basic options. When using the first option, the VM is suspended and resumed later under forensic analysis, so that the forensics investigator can use normal procedures to analyze the VM. However, when resuming, the VM files that are stored could change, destroying critical evidence. The second option is to create a snapshot of the VM and then work directly with the VM files that are stored on the host system. By taking a snapshot, the state of the hard disk is preserved and any changes to the disk are stored in a separate file, while the virtual memory of the VM is stored in a file, and any state changes are written to another virtual memory file. This can ensure that evidence is preserved and can be presented to court as forensically sound evidence. Both Ncase and FTK support conversion of VMware DARI MDK files to raw DD format. However, FTK also converts the snapshot along with any previous snapshots in the base DAR MDK files. If you find this video useful, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. To see more videos like this, please click in the rectangle in the middle of your screen. To see other videos from this channel, please click the circle on the bottom right. Thanks for watching. We will see you on the next one.